Hi, I'm Jason Swallow. Pennsylvania doesn't keep statistics on ethical violations or board disciplines. However, they do publicly document all the board's decisions and publish the court orders online for the public to view. Looking over the last year and a half, with the exception of the previous 4 months since the board did not meet due to COVID-19 restrictions, the most common reason for board disciplines were dual relationships and inappropriate contacts. In an article published in January 2019 in the Journal of Counseling and Development by Wilkinson, Smith, and Wimberly, their study concluded that 21.5% of ethical violations resulting in disciplinary actions were considered in the category of dual relationships. I found that the results of their study were very consistent with the ethical violations brought before the state board in Pennsylvania. The second most common ethical violation was poor record keeping. However, the majority of these violations were secondary to another violation, and they were discovered during the investigations. Interestingly enough, there seems to be a pattern of poor record keeping in all the cases involving dual relationships and substance abuse, which could be the result of attempting to cover up a wrongdoing, or possibly it's just a lack of professional competence. My reaction to many of these ethical violations is pure disgust, especially in the cases of dual relationships and inappropriate contacts. I'm just appalled by the indecency and the lack of professionalism that these counselors have displayed, as well as a feeling of empathy for the clients that they've harmed. In the case of the Pennsylvania Bureau of Professional and Occupational Affairs versus Bayer LPC, who's the defendant, based on the testimony of her employer, it appeared that she demonstrated a serious inability to maintain records and professional boundaries. The court document goes on to state the employer removed her from a number of cases due to these reasons, and she was eventually terminated by the employer for breach of confidentiality when she shared confidential information with a client about another client. The document also states that the counselor displayed a pattern of poor boundaries and a sense of what is appropriate to discuss in a counseling relationship. The board found the counselor in violation of PA Code 4972D1 by violating client confidentiality, PA Code 4971 by deviating from the American Counseling Association's Ethics Code in Section B1 by failing to protect the confidential information of a client. The counselor was also found in violation of PA Code 4978 and ACA Ethics Code under Section A1B by failing to ensure that documentation reflected client progress and services provided. The board's decision resulted in a public reprimand being placed on the counselor's permanent record. Civil penalty of $2,000 was levied, and the counselor was assessed for the cost of the investigation at a total of $4,579.97, and their license was suspended for 1 year. The ACA Code of Ethics under Section C2G states that the counselors must monitor themselves for signs of impairment from their own physical, mental, or emotional problems and refrain from offering or providing professional services when they are impaired. They must seek assistance for problems that reach the level of professional impairment, and they must limit, suspend, or terminate professional responsibilities until it is determined that they may safely resume their work. It also goes on to state that they are responsible for assisting colleagues and supervisors in recognizing their own professional impairment and provide consultation assistance when warranted. The PA Code 4975 supports the ACA Code of Ethics by stating that a licensee may not undertake or continue a professional relationship with a client, supervisee, or student when the objectivity or competency of the licensee is or could be reasonably or expected to be impaired due to mental, emotional, psychological, pharmacological, or substance abuse conditions. If the condition develops after the professional relationship has been initiated, the licensee shall terminate the professional relationship in an appropriate manner, notifying the client in writing, as well as assisting the client to find services from another professional. The only real question I have, and it's more of a comment than a question, is when looking at these ethical violations within my state and reading the court documents, many of these counselors who were impaired or who were employed by an agency were provided multiple chances to correct their wrongdoing of these violations and were ultimately disciplined for that reason, with the exception of violation of dual relationships and inappropriate contacts. So my question is, how can these counselors lack such self-awareness that they don't realize what they're doing is harming the clients and violating the ACA Code of Ethics? In the cases of dual relationships, inappropriate contacts, and substance abuse, why are these counselors not recognizing that they're impaired and stepping down to receive the help they need? I understand we're all human, we all make mistakes, and we all need help from time to time, but in this role, I think it's imperative that we be held to a higher standard for ourselves, our clients, and our profession. Thank you.